there was a football game being played in Norman on Saturday night. And it's weird I'm saying Saturday night because I'm recording this on Saturday night, as just gotten back from the game and I've gotten a chance to collect some thoughts and think about exactly what happened in the 50-20 victory for Oklahoma. One where really, if you take out the first quarter, the defense for Oklahoma was pretty dominant throughout this game. They really found themselves after it seemed like they were looking ahead to Texas and kind of got themselves back together and on the right track. But guys, before we dive into it, before we talk about it, we got to take care of a little bit of housekeeping items. So go ahead and hit that like and hit that subscribe button. Jump down in the comments below, because I said it earlier and I'm going to echo this again. This might be one of the best Oklahoma defenses that we've seen in a while. And I'm going to let you guys put in your own opinion through it based off the stats. Because through 5 games, this defense is only allowing 9.5 points per game, 319 yards per game, 212 pass yards a game, 106 rushing yards a game. They've gotten 3 fumbles and 10 interceptions. And I think, 2 or 3 of those interceptions have been for touchdowns? Not to mention, you've had Peyton Bowen get 2 punt blocks. So this Oklahoma defense appears to be pretty good this year. They appear to actually want to play some football, which is something I think a lot of Oklahoma fans for a long time have really been longing for. So I was curious to say, okay, well, how good is this defense? When was the last time we saw a comparable defense, maybe with the Lash regime and Lincoln Riley? And I pulled up 3 years. We had 2021, which was Lincoln Riley's last year, and honestly, what I think was probably Lincoln Riley's best year on defense, where he started out the season 5-0, but he had a 19 points per game average, 325 yards per game, 241.40 pass yards a game, but 89.8 rushing yards a game. You guys got to remember, that defensive line for Oklahoma that year wasn't too shabby. You had a couple of guys get drafted. They'd gotten 6 fumbles and 3 interceptions throughout those 5 games. So obviously you look at it and say 2021, I mean, outside of them just allowing 10 more points a game, it stacks up pretty well to what Oklahoma is already doing, give or take a little bit of pass in the rush. But then I said, well, let's dig a little bit further, right? This is BV's second year. What did Lincoln Riley do in his second year? Okay, 5-0, similar there. However, they were allowing 23.2 points per game, 405.2 yards per game, 252.4 passing yards a game, 152 rushing yards a game, 2 fumbles, and 3 interceptions. So defense not as dominant in Lincoln Riley's second year as they are in BV's second year. And then I went and looked at Lincoln Riley's first year, 2017, 4-1, 21.8 points per game, 356 yards per game, 232 pass yards a game, 132 rushing yards a game, 3 fumbles, 2 interceptions. Regardless how you look at it, this might be the most dominant defense for Oklahoma that we've seen maybe in 10 or more years. That's a real thing. Oklahoma's coming to ball in a year where this is their last year in the Big 12. They want to make a statement on the way out. And I was listening to Travis Davidson over at The Ref, and they were reading off a tweet from an Iowa State fan. And it was actually, I texted it in our group chat with Jay and Cooper over at Unfair Sports, which I know that they will be posting a day after reaction. So you guys need to go over there and listen to that. But it said this is the most points scored on Iowa State in 9 years. I want you to think about that. 50 points is the most points scored on Iowa State in 9 years. Now, I didn't fact check that, but if that's true, that's impressive, because that tells you the offense for Oklahoma, even though at times has struggled, it's still there. And I'll beg to, argue with those people that say the offense isn't as good as what it was when Lincoln Riley was here. I disagree. I think it's faster at times when they want to be faster, but they can control the clock. They can control the ball. When they need to go out and score, they can go out and score. It's different from a Texas team who has more potential, but they're not dominant. Oklahoma is just dominant on the offensive side of the ball when they need to be. And I think that has been able to be shown. So the Oklahoma goes out there and they win big, 50-20. That is exactly what we needed them to do. We talked about it. If Oklahoma is going to make a case for themselves to make the college football playoffs and really change people's narratives about this team, you've got to go out there and you've got to beat these teams, and you've got to beat them the way you're supposed to. So Dillon Gabriel, 26 of 39, 366 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and only 1 interception, which that interception didn't look great. But at the end of the day, it's only his second one of the season. And really, I think the first one that was just a Dillon Gabriel mistake, because the other one, if you remember, he was kind of rocked and maybe something that should have been roughing the passer. And yeah, just a whole nother story there. But Dillon Gabriel is starting to potentially cement himself in this Heisman conversation, dare I say, because the dude's been pretty accurate, and the dude's looked really, really good. He averaged 9.4 yards a throw and had a QBR of 95.8. If Dillon Gabriel continues to play like this all season, you would expect that Dillon Gabriel could be anywhere between a 4,000 to 4,500 yard passer. Dillon Gabriel could walk himself into New York City and be another Oklahoma quarterback to get there. Now, you look at Iowa State, and you have Rocco Beck, who was 15 of 33, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Iowa State might have themselves a dude at this quarterback position. Not bad for a true freshman. So, interesting to see there. We'll have to continue to watch how Iowa State progresses at that position. But Oklahoma, in terms of the rushing. So one of the things that we talked about in our pregame preview, Oklahoma needed, I wanted to see them go out there and get 200 plus yards rushing going into Texas to make you really feel confident about this running game. Yeah, you didn't hit that mark. You got 157 rushing yards on 41 carries, averaging 3.8 yards a carry. Honestly, that's just not going to do it. Now, the Tawi Walker touchdown got called back because just a stupid holding call, but probably Tawi Walker doesn't make that long run if the tackle is not holding the defender there. So to each his own, right? Some people might argue that. I'm just going to say it. It doesn't count. We're not even going to talk about it. So Oklahoma, 157 rushing yards. Man, you really feel like the Texas game every year is where Oklahoma's running game really comes out. So who's going to be that guy? Is it going to be a Marcus Major? Is it going to be Gavin Sawchuk or Tawi Walker? We didn't see Javonte Barnes this game. Is Javonte Barnes going to get playing time? Are we going to see a Dalen Smothers or Khalib Hicks? That's what I'm excited to see. What is the run game going to do against Texas? Because they haven't been there this year. Dillon Gabriel had the lone 2 rushing touchdowns. So overall, Dillon Gabriel has to be your player of the game. But when you look at the receiving, man, 26 receptions by these receivers. And you had quite a few of these receptions get shared around. I mean, Farouk had 5, Brendan Thompson had 2, Anderson had 2, Gibson had 2. Gibson also had that 41-yard touchdown, I believe it was what it was. Nick Anderson had himself a touchdown as well. You had Drake Stoops had 5 receptions. Gavin Freeman had 2. Austin Stogner, remember he caught that ball. 1 reception, 19 yards. Marcus Major had 4. Andrell Anthony had 1 catch for 16 yards. So a little bit weird that Andrell Anthony wasn't able to get more touches there. But Gavin Sawchuk also had 2 receptions. So overall, you got to see the wealth distributed between all the receivers. And we're going to move the offense, or move from the offense to the defensive side of the ball, because Oklahoma had themselves a day on defense. Danny Stutzman once again leading the team in tackles, 6 total tackles. He had 1 tackle for loss. Oklahoma as a team had 9 tackles for loss, 1 sack. But the box score doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. You go back and you watch that game, Oklahoma was living in the backfield. Multiple times was Beck thrown on his back as he threw the ball. right? Oklahoma was back there. They were causing problems. You saw Billy Bowman get that 44-yard interception for a touchdown right in the first drive of the game. That might have been one of the loudest times I've ever heard it in Norman. Now, I wasn't there for 2008 or any of those big games outside of the Ohio State game. I haven't really been there for any of those. So, yeah, it was popping there. It was popping there. Oklahoma fans need to do that more often. Gentry Williams also had himself an interception. It was only for 2 yards, though. Kick returns, you like what you see there. You like what you see out of the punt returns as well. Not a whole lot to talk about there, but Peyton Bowen, my man, getting another block, getting another special teams play. This dude's got his second punt block this year. And unfortunately, you couldn't reel it in for a touchdown, but that might have been for the better, right? You got the safety. Your defense got a chance to get a rest. And ultimately, Oklahoma, they got to put out a dominant performance. So there was another stat that had popped up that said in the last 39 minutes of the game, Iowa State had 93 yards. 93 yards. I want you guys to think about that for a second. In the last 39 minutes. Because in the first 2 quarters, Iowa State had 20 points. They made it a 21-20 game. And Oklahoma fans were really starting to think to themselves and wonder, oh my gosh, are we reverting back to what we were? But the defense said, hell nah, watch us play. We're going to go out here and we're going to take care of business. So Oklahoma goes out there. They dominate Iowa State 50-20. Now all eyes are looking ahead to the undefeated matchups of 5-0 Oklahoma versus a 5-0 Texas. Game day is going to be there. I would imagine big noon kickoff will be there. This is going to be a big game. Now, we're going to do a couple previews for you guys this week. We're going to have one with Dimitri Flowers that comes out on Thursday morning, probably Thursday evening or Friday morning. We're going to do one with Nino's Corner, who does a lot of Texas content. So we're going to have 2 previews coming out for you guys this week for this game. Big game, so I want to make sure we get as much content out there for you guys, load you guys up with all the information you guys need so that when you're watching this game, you really know what you need to be looking for out of the Sooners. You know what you should expect, not only from the OU side with the ball, but the Texas side of the ball as well. So, guys, I really want to hear what y'all's initial thoughts are. I know this is a little bit shorter of a video, but that's okay. We might do one again later with some other folks. But I want to hear what y'all's thoughts are. So jump down in the comments. Let me know. Also, huge shout out to, I believe it's the guy's name is Blake Smith. And then there was another dude that caught me walking up the stairs back to my seats who pointed me out and said, hey, I watch the show all the time. Appreciate you guys watching. If you guys see me out at the game, don't hesitate. Stop me. Let's chat. Let's talk. I love to hear from you guys. But again, jump down in the comments below. Give me your reactions to the game. Hey, it's Texas Hate Week. So Boomer Sooner and beat Texas.